Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast, one man's anonymous and live account of if he should get a divorce or stay married. He's been cheated on and he's cheated, protecting the innocent with changed voice patterns, the omission of names, ages and genders. His authentic journey and account of the daily events of his marriage are helping him sort out his feelings and not get lost in the ups or the downs. New episodes are released daily. Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
I think right now the struggle may be real for my wife in a couple of ways. I'm not so sure if she'll actually hear this, but as you know from my first batch of podcast episodes that I released, my wife found out about them, even though I changed my voice and I don't use anyone's names, and I continuously take every precaution I can to protect the innocent. My wife found out about that podcast and definitely ripped me a new one, and it was a very honest ripping. She was very upset that I would, quote unquote, air the dirty laundry, or as she put it, I would bash her online in the form of a podcast. She was very careful and she didn't say that I lied about anything. That was the hill I was dying on in that argument. I am not lying. I felt that I wasn't being heard or respected, and instead of journaling privately, some of the things I discussed were also things that I heard from and shared experiences with other men that were going through a lot of the same things in their marriages and long-term relationships, a lot of the same struggles, communication issues, and pitfalls. I accepted that, and like I said, instead of journaling and just closing the book, storing it on a shelf or in a nightstand drawer, I decided to record it. As I found myself in the car, oftentimes verbally vomiting, staring at my rearview mirror in a parking lot, staring out the windshield of my car at a tree, just lamenting at the state of my life and existence and trying to sort it all out. Where did I go wrong? Did I pick the wrong person? How I'm totally to blame for everything, even the things that I have no control over. I just went down a very dark path, and I was in a very dark and long, what it felt like was tunnel of life, with really no end in sight. And after taking my time to sort through my thoughts, I still said, I'm not lying about anything that I'm saying. I am very emotional, pretty fucked up actually, in need of therapy and help. And maybe if I record these and if I can find a way to protect everyone or anyone involved, I can maybe, as I try to help myself, there's some other people that I can help. And my wife says yesterday two different things to me. I reminded her of some of the statements that she's made, which is why I'm not really in communication with her, and I don't wish to be. I didn't accept the fact in the past that my wife said anytime we had an argument or a breakup and got back together, she told me that I never wanted to come back to you. You always convinced me. So let's take the gravity of that statement and let's extrapolate that out. At its brass tacks, lowest common denominator, my wife is with me, but she doesn't want to be. And the only reason she is or ever did come back to our relationship was because I convinced her. I may be reading more into this than I should, but I don't care anymore. I want to be wanted by the person that I'm with. And now that I understand that I convinced or sold my wife on my value to her, that does help to put things into perspective and helps me understand and realize that, oh, we are together because you were convinced, not because this is where you want to be, which is probably why our relationship always felt like a tug of war where I was always trying to make her happy or keep her happy. My wife has also said that I hate you. You are the worst person that I've ever met, and I wish we never met. But I'm about to go through another big medical issue in my life, and my wife wants to know how I am, and she wants to know the status of this medical procedure, where I am with that, when are my next appointments. And now that I've accepted the person that hates me and thinks that I'm the worst person they ever met, or was always convinced to be with me, not that they wanted to, it's very difficult now to reach out to my wife and say, hey, here's what's going on with me. I'm about to go through a very difficult time in life and I want to tell you about it. It's hard to do that after you've accepted that you don't matter to the person like you thought or wanted to. And that's what I realize now. I don't matter to my wife in the ways that I thought I did or should, or the ways that I wanted to. And that's okay. That's a pill I had to swallow. And now I think my wife, because I'm moving differently, I'm moving in that truth now. I think she's having a difficult time realizing that she was the center of my universe. And now she's trying to figure out, why are things so different? Things are now so different because while you were the center of my world, the center of my universe, now you're not. And it's not because I don't want her to be. It's that I understand she doesn't. Let me see if I can put this into the best words. It seems like she didn't realize that she was the center of my universe. And now that she does, she might be having a crisis of conscience or understanding that, oh wow, this is what it looks like now that we are not a couple. And I'm not going to be reaching out to you. I'm not going to be chasing you down. I'm not going to convince you. You've got to want to be in a relationship. So I do want to feel good. No one, I don't think, wants to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't want to be in one with them. That's just stupid, isn't it?
Wow. That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.